Tonight we're going to see just how good a mechanic Randy Ripplinger is in his series on car repairs. I'm almost afraid to ask, Randy, but whose car did you fix and does it run?
Well, we didn't have much choice in this one. I couldn't get anybody else to give me their car.
Funny thing.
I used mine, and it still runs. Not much better, but it still runs. Well, as a rule, you and I probably make lousy auto mechanics. Not only do we lack training, but generally we're kind of lazy. What do we do while we're getting tanked up at a gas station here in Oregon? Well, we sit. But in states like Washington, for example, most of the time you at least get out of your car and pump your own gas. And like this fellow did, you are at least more likely to spot any obvious problems before they get worse.
Oh, hell, look at that. I blew that top radiator hose. I'll be a son of a gun.
Mechanics we've talked to say if the attendant isn't looking under your hood, you'd better do it, because neglect will be very costly down the road. There are some maintenance items you can take care of yourself. I've got about everything I need here to do an oil change and lube. The only question is, how much is it going to cost me in time and money to do it? Let's find out. Not a bad time. It only took half an hour after I purchased the oil and filter, and they cost only $7.50. Not bad, but I have the advantage of a grease pit to work in and some tools. But I didn't save that much. While most quick service shops charge about $20 for an oil change, lube, and filter, others charge as little as $10. They give the car a more thorough going over than I did, too. My rule of thumb is if I can get somebody else to do it for $10, I'll forego the fun of getting my hands greasy. But some warn against the specials offered by some mechanics, which could be only lures to charge you more.
Being conned in by specials, be very cautious because quite often they're just to get you in the door.
Whether you are going to do it yourself or trust a mechanic to work on your car, you still need to know what you're talking about. For most of us, that means going back to class. This one, sponsored by the Automotive Service Councils, costs only $5. It covers everything from tire pressure.
How do you put the gauge on that little, you've got to unscrew the...
Take the gauge and just place it over the end.
To rack and pinion steering.
And it pushes and pulls. And it's called a rack and pinion system, and there is no maintenance on it.
Similar workshops are offered by community colleges. They are good for the common guy or gal who wants to get closer to his or her car.
This has been sort of a problem with me. I'm always afraid of what might happen when I go to a garage. And I like to have an idea of my own before I go.
And what we're trying to do is introduce people to their cars so that they know more about it, so that they can talk on a one-to-one with an auto mechanic and know where the discussion is going.
You'll have to pay a mechanic far less often, however, if you keep an eye on these 7 maintenance items. Oil changes. There's some argument over how often, but the people who fix cars say that changing the oil and filter at least every 3,000 miles is a must. Belts and hoses begin to give out after 4 years' use. Replace them before they break. Your radiator will die from rust if it gets started. Flush it and replace the antifreeze every 2 years. Check your tire pressure at least once a month. That will prolong the tire's life and your own. Tune-up should happen every 20,000 miles on newer cars with electronic ignition, 10,000 miles on older ignition systems. And check your air filter twice a year, more often if you drive in a dusty area. And for safety's sake, fill up your windshield fluid monthly. So if you become auto-educated and look after your own car's maintenance, then you can say,
and the service has been excellent.
I hope if you do your own service, it's been excellent. Now, checking on other car care classes currently going on, I found that Portland Community College Cascade campus is in the middle of a 10-week course right now. Well, you might also check with some of the larger garages around town. They frequently offer some shorter workshops. Tomorrow, we're going to have one follow-up story to our reports. It's a happy ending to one of these consumers' woes that we've reported on this last week.
Oh, good. I love happy endings. And if you buy any parts that say maintenance-free, don't believe it.
Well, check on the maintenance, right?
All right. Thanks, Randy.